and welcome to GCU Review.
Getting closer.
What's hot and what's not.
Getting closer.
Bye.
Getting closer.
Hey guys, I'm Dee.
And I'm Danielle.
And welcome to
GCU Review.
Where today we are doing The Luckiest Girl Alive and it's starring Mila Kunis.
Yes.
And it's streaming on Netflix.
Right. It's a film that came out in 2022 for streaming on Netflix. Just as a warning, though, it is rated R for some violence and SA, which we will be abbreviating because YouTube doesn't like using the full words.
I really don't either.
I personally don't either, but it is what it is. It covers a very heavy topic. The story was originally a novel from Jessica Knoll, and it actually touches on some things that happened to her for real. So, but yeah, Mila Kunis is in it as Annie / Tiffany, and then you go back and forth between her current day and her as a young lady. As a teenager, and the person who plays that is Chiara Aurelia. And I hope I got her name right because she did an amazing job.
She did.
There's a lot of this film is very dark because of the themes that it covers, but it does it in a really great way. And I think part of that is because of the director,
Right.
Mike Barker, who also worked on Handmaid's Tale.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever watched Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
He directed this movie, and I think that was super important to the tone.
Well, apparently he's used to sensitive subjects and putting it in a good explanation for you to see what. But I think that it is a dark movie. It covers a lot of bad things, but just her character, to me, she was empowered by a lot of that happened to her, that made her who she was and the ambition that she had. So.
Yeah, and so you open up with Annie, Mila Kunis' character, as an adult in New York City. She is a writer on a magazine that's very similar to Cosmo or that type of the magazine that's kind of like Dirty.
She does the quirky subjects.
Right, well, yeah, the quirky.
I'll say that.
We'll say that. That's the word we're going to use. Because I'm like, I can't use any other word.
Right, you can't. So it's the quirky subject.
The quirky subject.
Probably nobody else wants to cover.
That nobody else wants to cover, but she does it very, very
job.
well. And she was a brilliant writer as a child. And that got her into a very upper scale private school on a scholarship. She is loved by her boss. Her boss loves her because she writes the type of articles that bring in readers. They see the really salacious titles of her stories and that makes them buy magazines. So she's living a great life. She's got a fiance.
He's fine.
And he's played by Finn Wittrock.
Finn.
And
Finn sounds like a uppity name. Finn.
He's got that face. He's
does.
got a trust fund baby face. Like that. You look
But
at
I've
him.
seen him play a bad character before, and
he
was
good
very good
at playing a bad character.
Because you don't expect it, because he does have that trust fund baby face, and he gets away with it. So yeah, good job, Finn.
Yeah, he did a great job in this as well. And so she's got this fiance who's of old money. He works for BlackRock, which I'm familiar with them from my past careers. And so everything looks great, except there's this tone. And the tone that I think that's like weaved into the movie almost feels like a psychological thriller type tone.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
Everything's going fine. And then all of a sudden she gets these flashes of intrusive thoughts. Like they were shopping for knives, planning for the wedding.
I thought it was going to be that type of movie. Like, is she killing people on the low? But yeah,
I didn't know either.
Yeah, so they shop for knives.
It's good to know that you thought that. So they're shopping for knives and she's holding the knives. Yeah. And all of a sudden she sees her fiance on the floor.
Like she
in a pool. Like she done did something to him. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, I didn't think it was, but yeah, I did think it was going to be like she was a undercover
like something was going on. But what we find out later is that she's having these intrusive thoughts and these moments of disconnection from reality because something really tragic that could blow up her entire life that she built for herself because she's built the kind of life that she wanted.
Because she's constantly reminded of it by this guy's book.
Oh yes.
So
So
we'll get into that part.
In the private school that she was going to, when you flash back to her being younger, she's going through a process where there's kids there who are from money and are there because their parents could pay for it, but she got there on a scholarship.
Right.
And so they're like, oh, you know, a financial aid kid. And they start sending her on they put her on the outside. She becomes an outsider. Even though she's brilliant and she's smart and she got there for a very good reason.
But just because she don't have money.
Because she don't have money, these other kids that are not as smart as her, but have the money
to get there. Right.
Are giving her a hard time. And then one guy comes in and helps her out. And his name is Arthur. And he's also an outsider. And so, but one of the main people that was bullying her about this was this guy named Dean. And Dean is, you know, rich kid, could get his way everywhere. Everybody stepped out of his way because not only does he have influence, but he has influence because his parents have a lot of influence. Right. And it's just one of those classic situations.
Guy in the class, so yeah. I mean,
relative. I mean, I guess I was there in I was in high school in 1999. He wouldn't have been cute to me.
He would have been cute to you.
He wouldn't have been cute to me.
Okay,
but whatever. So this all culminates in a school dance that happens, and she's got some friends at this point. She feels like she's having a good time in school, even though there's like this underlying current of her being on the outside. Right. And after the dance, there's a party. And there's a party at Dean's house.
It's drinking and all kinds of things going on.
It's drinking and all kinds of things going on.
Kids do.
As kids do. Except this took a really, really bad turn because what you find out is that she was targeted by several boys, and they assaulted her. They got her drunk and they assaulted her. And it was multiple boys that did this. And that is the reason why one of the reasons why she keeps having this disconnect in her daily life. It affects her relationship with her fiance. It affects her relationship with her mother. Because after it happened, she was so isolated, nobody would believe her. And that's really the reason why the boys did it.
Right.
Because they knew that her mom didn't have the kind of influence to do anything about it, but their parents did.
And they gonna believe the money.
And so the school backed that up and pretty much silenced her.
Right.
Scared her into silence. She had one teacher that she could rely on, and they fired him. So she's now completely alone isolated in this experience, and nobody believes her. And it really harkens back to the reason why she's working so hard as a writer. Right. To try to build up a name for herself and get in the New York Times, because she feels like she can't
they made her feel invisible of what happened to her and brushed it off like it was nothing. Except for the two guys, they believed her.
Ben and Arthur, her two outsider friends.
Yep. That shot up the school.
That eventually did, which is another part of her trauma, because she worked so hard. She feels like she can't even tell her story about what happened to her until she makes a name for herself for people to believe her. Yeah. And that's so sad.
Because that's how they made her feel. You're nobody, so nobody's going to believe you. So she's trying to be somebody so her story can be relevant.
Yeah, she's using the relationship with her fiance. She don't even really love that man for real. She's just like, he's part of the puzzle to make her look credible.
He got the old money. He's cute, and so
she's trying to model the same things that they used against her. Those kids used against her. So anyway, there is, like she mentioned, a shooting that happens at the school, and it culminates because of all the bullying and tension between the outsider students and
the rich kids. Right.
And the perpetrators of that are two of Annie's friends.
Right.
They also know about her two friends who also know about what happened to her that night at the party. Right. They specifically target the kids that bullied them. Dean even bullied Ben really bad. I can't even say what he did to him because that was just
go see it for yourself.
Absolutely insane and terrible. He was a crap person. But then Dean capitalizes. The thing that also haunts Annie in her adult life is the fact that Dean, after he is paralyzed in this event at the school, he capitalizes on it by writing a book about being a survivor.
A survivor of one event but you are a perpetrator on another event, and that's
He
her.
victimizes himself.
That's her plight.
And
Because
took
you did
power
this,
away from the people he victimized.
but it's the narcissist.
Oh,
in me.
it's the big N
So
word for me.
it's like you did this, but you gonna make money because you got this. This is the result.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
It's part of
what
that.
you did.
Not that was a solution to it, and it does not glorify it in any way.
Right.
But you completely victimized yourself and took away the way that you made other people victims. On top of the fact that he created a rumor and blamed Annie for
The shooting at the school.
The shooting at the
like
school.
she was part of it.
which further ostracized her.
Right.
So anyway, Annie eventually gets in contact. This true crime documentary writer filmmaker gets in touch with her because he wants her to tell her story on the documentary. She finds it in herself to tell her story, receives backlash from a lot of people in her life, including her fiance, which does result in her breaking off her engagement.
Because basically he just wants her to forget about it.
He's like, well, I thought you were tough and strong. That's why I loved you in the first place. But you're telling me this is still bothering you, that where you have to talk about it? Why do we have to talk about it? So now in her adult life, she still has somebody trying to silence her. So she decides to go ahead and tell her story. She said she told her story.
Who likes it or not.
And she confronts Dean finally about what he did and gets him to admit what he did and that he purposely blamed her for the school shooting in order to take the highlight off of himself and to force her into silence about what happened that night. So it's a lot. There's a lot. Eventually, she does start on the road to mending her self-image and mending her relationship with what happened to her. I will say, though, the level of disassociation that she was experiencing, you need therapy for that.
Right.
Now, I know getting justice is part of it.
She does need therapy.
But, oh,
and
honey,
she also needed to talk about it.
She also needed to talk about it.
That was the thing, to get it out.
Yeah. I really love the way the whole topic was handled.
I do. And especially the way, like, it eased us into it. Of, like I said, you start off with the knives.
Yep.
And you're like, what is going on? But very good at the storytelling. It eased us into it. But then at the end, I felt good about it.
Yeah. I felt good about it too.
Because she felt good about it.
And you know that there's more that needs to happen in order for her to really heal and everything. Anybody that's actually been through that type of event, either one of those events happening in your life as a young person, you need a lot more than that. But it is a start. Being able to get somebody to believe you and to admit what they did, which is not something most people get.
Right.
So I really love the way that it was handled. A lot of people felt it was controversial because they felt like certain things, the problematic parts of it were really just showing people how they really are.
Right.
And to me, that's not problematic. That's truth.
That's truth.
There are people who will tell you, don't tell your story. Forget about it.
Don't worry about it.
This was your fault because you got drunk.
You're right.
That's real.
You shouldn't have put yourself there.
So what's your verdict on it?
I'm going to give it a hot.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a hot because I love, like I said, the way they took us through it and the ending of her being okay.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing. Never let nobody take your truth and silence you ever.
Yeah.
And I like that message.
Yeah, I think it's also important to show people themselves when you are saying certain things to a survivor of one of those events or that type of trauma. Be careful what you say, because you have to think, are you really just trying to protect yourself from uncomfortability or are you really trying to help this person?
Exactly.
And a lot of people in her life failed her because they were more worried about their discomfort with the situation and how things looked than what this girl needed. So gets a hot for me.
Hot.
Definitely check it out. If you need help, definitely look for it. Reach out to somebody, talk to somebody, share what you can. Take care of yourself in the meanwhile.
Exactly.
And I think we're going to wrap it up.
Well, we see y'all next time. We appreciate y'all. Have a good day.
Make sure you like, share, subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Hit us up in the comments.
Bye.
Bye. And welcome to GCU Review.
Get closer.
What's hot and what's not. Bye.
Getting closer.